Hopefully this is focused on me. I got the opportunity to shoot with a 20x24 camera, and it was really cool. If you've been anywhere on film or analog related social media recently, you probably heard that Ethan Moses made a 20x24 camera.
In the 70s, Polaroid made these 20x24 Polaroids, and they only made 7 of them. They've been a feat in the analog world both as a format and just as a camera and as an art form. They're used by Andy Warhol and the famous Elsa Dorfman, and it's always been a dream of mine to shoot with it. These Polaroid cameras were really rare, and very few select people were ever able to shoot with it, and the material used with it is not really made anymore. But Ethan Moses made a one-of-a-kind 20x24 camera with a self-developing film holder back, and he uses a direct positive reversal process to replace the original 20x24 Polaroids. With these two things combined, he's created a truly unique and really cool process to emulate the certain Instamatic quality of a Polaroid, but without using Polaroid at all. And he reached out to me and asked if I wanted to shoot with his camera, do whatever project I wanted, and make a YouTube video about it. And of course, I said yes. So you probably saw that Ethan collaborated with Brooklyn Film Camera to do a bunch of workshops and portrait days, and essentially on one of the days that they weren't doing that, he let me come to the studio and use the camera for the entire day and shoot whatever I wanted, and it was honestly a dream come true. But anyway, I was really excited to shoot with this, and I'm really excited for you guys to see this video. So without further ado, let's get into the video and get into how it was shooting with a 20x24 camera. The camera is 1,500 pounds, and it actually doesn't have any sort of shutter. So essentially what you're seeing is this lens attached to this really large dark box, essentially, which is the bellows. And when you take a photo, the photo will come through the lens, through that dark box or the bellows, that big black thing. It comes through and then it imprints onto the piece of paper in the back of the camera, and it makes the photo. Now usually in a traditional camera, there'd be a shutter so that when you click a button, the lens would open and close at a certain speed to let in an amount of light to imprint the photo onto the piece of film or paper. With this camera, however, there is no shutter. So essentially what Ethan does is he takes the lens cap off of the camera and he pops a really powerful 20,000 watt strobe. And that very quick pop of light in an otherwise pretty dark room with that really powerful pop of light, that serves as the camera shutter, which is also genius in its own way. So once you pop that shutter, you put the lens cap back on the camera, and then you have your photo taken. Focusing on this camera was probably the most surreal thing I've ever done. Oh, I see your hair now.
All right, so would you scoot back 6 inches?
On the thing.
Yep. Yep, stop, don't move, hold on.
When you go to the back of the camera under this ginormous dark cloth, you're met with this ginormous piece of ground glass that's about 20x24 inches. So it's about this big. So you're looking straight into this ginormous piece of glass, just like this. And you're seeing the person you're taking a photo of larger than life size right in front of you. So the head of the person almost takes up this entire big frame, and they look like a giant. And it's actually kind of scary.
Lean forward 1 inch.
Now, usually when you focus on a camera, what you would usually do is you focus with the camera itself. You usually would move the lens or a little wheel on the lens to make the focus change. But with this camera, because it is so large, it's a little bit impractical to move the entire camera to focus. So essentially you have your subject move back and forth a couple inches, either on their seat or just their head, to make sure they're in crisp focus, and then they just have to sit still.
Nope, lean back 1 inch. Stop, don't move. You get it.
That is so cool. And once the person is in focus, you're ready to take the photo. And the next step, which I didn't do because these backs are really heavy, Ethan takes off the back that has the glass on it and puts it back on that has the paper in it. Because essentially what we're doing is that we're shooting on a piece of darkroom paper, also called RA4 paper. So he loads this back with a piece of darkroom paper into the back of the camera, and then the photo is printed directly onto that piece of darkroom paper. So traditionally when you take a photo on film, if you've ever shot film, you know that you usually shoot it on a piece of photographic emulsion. But essentially all film is a transparent base with emulsion on it. And darkroom paper will basically work and function the same way as photographic film does. It's just that it's on an opaque base and not a transparent base. Of course, that'll lead to differences in sensitivity of the film or the paper that you're shooting on, but you can basically shoot on paper the same way that you shoot on film. You can even put a piece of paper in the back of your 35mm camera if you wanted to. So for the first exposure, me and Ethan took it together, and we took it of my friend Chloe, and this was just serving as a test for him to show me how the camera works and also how the chemistry works when we process the photo. So for the first photo, we did a very straight-on portrait of Chloe, just looking straight at the camera, and we popped the flash and photo was made. And probably the coolest part of all this was seeing how the process works to process and develop the prints. We're going to get more into the specifics of the chemistry later if you are interested in figuring out how it works, but basically he's making a black and white negative, and through the chemical process, he creates a color positive on top of that. Or I guess the color positive is actually beneath the color negative. But anyway, from the black and white negative becomes a color positive, and seeing the process from the black and white negative to the color positive is what he calls the wow moment, and what everyone likes to record when they come get their portrait taken, because it is probably the coolest part to see.
Wow. It's like I've never seen a picture before. Oh, look! Whoa! Oh my god! Oh, so good. Oh my god, that is so cool. Oh my god, I love the colors too. That is genuinely so cool. Wow. Hey, go stand next to it. Go stand next to it. Like, look how big it, like, it's literally life size.
It's actually bigger.
Yeah.
Look at the height of it.
Oh, true.
Also,
But it really emulates a sort of instant quality to taking these photos, because you can watch the photos develop from being taken in a matter of a couple minutes. And it's a really, really cool process that honestly is probably the highlight of this entire thing. So after we shot that first exposure of Chloe and it turned out beautiful, the next thing was for me to shoot some photos, which was, of course, the part I was waiting for. So for the photos that I took, I had my friend Mia be my model, and we produced some really amazing images that I'm really, really proud of. The first photo we took of Mia was kind of a straight-on portrait in the same way that we took one of Chloe. I had her sit on the wooden block and just look straight into the camera and kind of just pose however her face would rest naturally. I didn't ask her to smile or really do anything. I just asked her to look straight into the camera, and her natural pose was beautiful.
You a little bit farther back, but move really, like, slowly. Oh, a little bit closer. Farther back.
Again, focusing was probably the cooler part of this. Being under that dark cloth and seeing Mia's face ginormous in front of me was so cool.
Whoa.
yeah, you did not mess it up.
Yay.
Keep it agitated. Do like a minute, right? What do you think about this lower tone?
I think I like it better.
Pretty professional. I love this hair shape. And like the way it's like you like from here if you squint it's just a face, but like as you get closer, like open your eyes up and it's bright, you just have like the faintest delineation of like this business. It's way more interesting.
I love her hair shape.
You got a really good hair shape.
I haven't cut my hair in like a year and a half.
Me neither. I get bozo the clown. Okay.
It looks so good. Right?
And this first exposure of Mia ended up being so beautiful. So basically, after we saw the first exposure of Chloe, you see that the highlights in her face is a little bit overexposed. And the shadows are, well, a nice amount of exposure. So essentially for this next shot, what we aimed to do was have the highlight of Mia's face be the value of the shadow of Chloe's face. And the shadow on Mia's face would then in turn be a little bit darker and none of her face would be overexposed. And that's exactly what we got. I think this photo is just really beautiful, and I love the highlight of her hair, or just the outline of her hair. Ethan was even saying she looked like a famous actress. I forgot her name. Roll the clip.
You guys all have like Farrah Fawcett hair. Is that it?
Farrah Fawcett hair? Is that? Who is that?
But I really enjoyed this photo. And then for the next one, I had her pose a little bit differently. I had her turn her body a little bit, and I wanted to get a different kind of angle of her face, or a different perspective, I guess. What I had her do was I had her just smile off, look into the camera, and just give me a nice smile. And by accident, I actually kind of composed her head a little bit really far into the corner. I didn't mean to, but it actually turned out pretty nice that her head was in the corner, kind of pointing toward the other corner of the frame. And even though it was a little bit weird of a composition maybe, and I wouldn't have chosen to do it, I really like how it came out.
Backward? Or just your head? Oh, wait, no. A little forward. Right there. Don't move.
How do you like them? After we got those two pretty straightforward portraits, it was time to do something more creative, and this is the part I was really excited about. And the next photo I wanted to take was I wanted to do another portrait of her, but I wanted it to be a little bit more fun. And as you see here, I spent a long time trying to pose her. I wasn't really sure what I wanted her to do yet, but all by herself and very naturally, she put her feet up on the chair, or the wooden thing we were sitting on, and she put her feet up, and originally they were not in the position of the photo, but they were kind of up like this, so her knees were up. And she was posing like that, and I had her earphones on that she always likes to wear. But she ended up doing this really cool thing with her legs where she put her feet together, had her knees kind of butterflied out, and then she put the headphone cable in her mouth between her teeth, just posed and looked at the camera like this. And it was so good. And I remember I was like, don't move. And you know, she did this all naturally. I do want to give her a lot of credit for that, because I didn't even really pose her like that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah?
Mia, smile. Look awesome. Okay, wait, I'm gonna... Good job.
Mia has this really big rip in her jeans, and I thought it'd be really smart to take a photo of, well, basically her butt, because she has this golden pin that I gave her actually, and she keeps it in the back of her jeans to keep the rip from being larger, although it doesn't really do much. And I thought it would be a really picturesque thing to take a photo of. So I had her basically stand precariously on the wooden table thing that people were sitting on, and I had her essentially just balance as long as she could to get her butt in focus and in frame. But she put her hand like on her side and it ended up being this really beautiful picture that kind of looked like a Bruce Springsteen album cover or a Calvin Klein jeans ad. I really enjoyed it.
As ridiculous as this sounds, I think you shot the first part of it. Conceptual art. In the shot.
That's awesome. I just shot a Calvin Klein.
Well, it's cool.
Looks so good. Even like your stance, you don't look unnatural at all, even though you were like, ugh.
I was so tense.
Oh my god, that is amazing. Hey, that is beautiful. Thanks so much. You're a great model, seriously. Thank you. And lastly, for the final photos, there was no portrait to be taken, but a still life. Now for this one, Ethan did have to move the camera. Sorry, Ethan. But he moved it so that we were able to get really sharp focus because we're going to be taking pictures of something really small on top of a table. So me and Mia spent about maybe 5 to 10 minutes arranging a lot of her stuff on this table, trying to make it look as cool as possible. I had this idea that I wanted a piece of her clothing to be strung up behind her, almost like her shirt or her pants would be there but not her, and I thought it'd be a cool thing. It was kind of ended up being a little bit difficult to have both her little stuff on the table and those jeans be in focus, so it ended up being kind of a backdrop instead, but it turned out pretty cool, I think. But as you see here, the still life took about, I think, 18 pops of the strobe to get enough light on it. So basically, usually when we take the photo of the person, you just do one pop of the strobe and that's it. But for this photo, because we had the aperture set to I think like 45, so the aperture was like super tight and it wasn't letting in a lot of light, we had to pop the strobe a bunch of times that even let in enough light to expose it at all. The first exposure that we took was pretty underexposed. As you see in this one, the shadows are really dark, it's hard to make out some of the things in the background, and some of the things are kind of shadowed so much that you can't really tell what they are, but I actually really liked how this one came out. But we did a second one, we did more pops of the strobe. And then we got this one right here, which I think looks a lot better because exposure is better. But I think both are really nice in their own right. And I really enjoyed how it came out. I think that Mia is one of those people that you can really tell a lot about her and about the person that she is just by the things that she has, because she has a lot of really cool stuff and she does a lot of drawing and artistic stuff. So we had her bring some of the cutouts that she makes. So she draws a lot of different characters and she cuts them out, and we just pasted them around this box that I brought to put her stuff in. And we ended up taking this really, really cool still life. And those are all the photos that I took. I'm really, really happy with them. And honestly, I think one of the cooler parts about this whole process is how big they are. I have the prints in this box behind me. I'll show you. But just to give reference, they're in this box, but this is how big the photos are. I don't even know how to fully show you, but this is how big they are, 20 by 24 inches. And you can see in the clips where we're holding them and we have someone stand next to them, how big these photos really are. And being able to make a photo and just have the original negative, I guess you'd call this, or the original photo be this big is honestly something that I never thought I'd be able to ever do. Not I didn't think I'd ever be able to, but it was one of my dreams for sure.
And I really, really want to say thank you to Ethan for reaching out to me and asking me to shoot with this amazing feat in the analog world, because creating your own 20 by 24 camera and using this process is seriously something one of a kind that will definitely be in the history books. When I heard about him doing this workshop, I remember that I was so bummed I couldn't do it because I couldn't really fork out the money to go to one of the workshops, but using a 20 by 24 camera was always a dream of mine since I heard about it, and it's always been on my list of things I wanted to do as a photographer. So the fact that a couple days later after I heard about this whole project he was doing, that he reached out to me and asked for me to come make the art on his camera, specifically, just me for the whole day, I felt so special, and I can't believe that he trusted me as an artist enough to let me do that. So with all that being said, please go and check him out on all his social media platforms, his website. He makes amazing cameras besides the 20 by 24 one. And he's also hosting a Kickstarter right now to try to bring the experience to LA. So please go support him there. Check out his YouTube. And once again, thank you so much.
Anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I also want to say a big thank you to Wyckoff Windows, which is the studio that we were shooting in all day. They're available for rent now in Bushwick, and they're a really cool studio, a lot of really wonderful people, and a really great space that has a lot of really cool stuff that I probably didn't even fully highlight in my video because I was just using one part of it. Anyway, that's the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think and what your favorite photo was that I took, and I don't know, I'd really appreciate if you gave this video a like and shared it. I'm really, really proud of this video and proud of the fact that I got to do this. It was really cool. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you all later. Nat is out. Peace out. All right, see you later.